Hello, people of the world, and welcome back on the Mary in Motion podcast. I know, it's been a while. I kind of disappeared for almost 2 months without really explaining why, but I promise you, it was for the best. Today feels special because I'm finally back with more energy, more clarity, and a lot of stories to share. But also, this episode marks the 1 year of the podcast. Yoo-hoo! I'm really happy about it. Over the past year, I showed up consistently for 10 months, which is great, in my opinion. I released 24 episodes. I had 12 incredible guests. And honestly, I'm very happy about this. So this episode is a comeback, but it's also a celebration. You might notice that the sound is a bit different. I've got new microphones now. Hopefully the sound is better. At least that's the goal. So during this break, a lot happened. I quit my job. I trekked through the Himalayas, I spent a month in Mexico, and I started a brand new master's degree in a new country. Also, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. Some episodes really inspired me and made me want to experience more, especially with sound design. So this year, I want to play more, I want to test things, and I want to push the format a bit. And you will be the first ones to hear it, obviously. So basically, I've been busy. Looking back at 2025, I've lived some pretty incredible things. I've grown, not only in my projects, but also on a personal level. I feel more confident. I know much better what I want in my life. I have reconnected deeply with photography, and I finally enrolled in my dream master's program. So this episode is about coming back, talking a bit about the past year, and opening a new chapter together. Thank you for still being here, even though I disappeared. So let's get into it. So first of all, happy birthday to the podcast, and thank you to the ones that follow me since the first episode, or if you just discovered me over the past year, whatever. If you listen, I know some people listen to them consistently, so thank you so much. I must admit that I would like the podcast to grow a bit more, because right now it's mostly my friends, not my family. My family is not really supportive on that level because they don't speak at all English. So none of them is listening to the podcast. I hope one day they will. So anyway, my biggest supporters are friends, but I would love to reach some people that don't know me personally, or some people that would need to hear some travel stories to finally go abroad, because most of the people around me are confident about traveling and have a lot of stories to share, and most of my friends too were guests on the podcast. So really, I would love if one day it becomes a bit more widely known. So this is my wish for 2026. I would love to grow my audience. So this year was punctuated by 24 episodes. So one every 2 weeks, which was sometimes a bit hard to hold. The frequency was low enough for me to be able to find new guests and have the time to record and edit the episode. But sometimes it was super hard to find guests, because I need to find people with really interesting stories. And it's not that easy, because I'm very picky. I don't want people that don't share my beliefs, or that travel for the wrong reasons, or that do some things I wouldn't recommend or that I wouldn't want people to do. So really, I thought it would be easier to have many guests and many adventures. But now I've listened to some podcasts that talk about travel and adventure, and I've seen that their scope of guests is really wider than what I expected. Sometimes they invite some scientists that went on some expeditions. They invite someone that would just talk about one trip they did not so far away from their home, but it really has something to bring to the listeners because it's talking about a very specific subject. So I don't want to have only guests that travel very far for a very long time. I would like to have people that talk about a subject very deeply and that they know well, that really does something to them, that is important for them and that they want to share. I still want to keep, obviously, the travel in mind. So I want to talk about nature, I want to talk about adventures, I want to talk about experiences that changes you and that make you understand the world better or in another way, or that make you want to explore more. So among the 12 guests I had this year, I'm very happy that I could find them, and I'm very proud also of the episodes we did together. Most of them are my friends, so it's people I like and that I know in my personal life, but some of them also I didn't know before, and I'm very happy I met them and I could discover their stories at the same time as you. And I think also we managed to have deeper subjects, not only just going somewhere. I'm trying to talk about not just the facts, but things that are around the travel. So, for example, we had an episode about the adoption. We had an episode about being a black woman in Asia, which I think are super interesting topics, and having someone that lived it to come and talk about it really is very important to me. We also had people that traveled in very different ways. For example, Jonas was traveling with as little money as possible by bike and really being super close to the locals. We also had Sarah that went into prison. We had so many different things. Also, we had people that moved abroad and talked about their experience. So really, we had a super wide range of guests, and I love it. And I really would like to keep that kind of thing for next year. I've also had to refuse some guests because, as I said, I want to have the same values as them, and a lot of companies reached out to try to promote their volunteerism trips, which at first I thought maybe we could have a discussion, it would be interesting, but then I had so many contacting me. Okay, maybe not so many, but at least 3 or 4. And I thought, I don't want my whole podcast to revolve around why is volunteerism good or bad, and should you go to that kind of companies? And especially because if they come to the podcast to talk about this, then obviously they will be like, oh no, but we are not like everyone else. And so anyway, I would really like to have adventure guests and not companies coming to promote their stuff. But maybe we would have 1 or 2 next year. I don't know. Maybe it can be interesting. You can tell me. But for now, I have refused. And I've realized that organizing with people you don't know, organizing recordings is really not easy, and it's way more time consuming than I expected, because first we have to get in contact with each other, see if it will work out. Then we have to schedule a time where we will meet first and see if we are matching. And then we have to set up a time for the recording, which, I don't know, because which it can be very hard because I have a busy schedule. They also have. Sometimes it's people that are abroad and not in the same time zone. So really, it can be very challenging, more than I expected. Also this year, I would like to be more calm when I'm speaking to you because I'm very busy and I always do everything too fast in my life. And I listen to every podcast in like 1.5 speed. So I think people are speaking too slowly. But I think when you are hearing a story, maybe that's what you want. So I will try to speak more calmly. And if you don't like it, you can just speed it up like I do. I would like to address the fact that I just disappeared for 2 months. I must admit that it was not planned. I wanted to have episodes still coming every 2 weeks like the rest of the year, but I quit my job in the end of October, and so I had a lot to do during that last month to finish up everything I did for work, then the apartment, all of the administrative stuff. And less than a week after I left my job, I was going to Nepal. So I also had to prepare this trip, and I planned some episodes in advance so they would keep coming. But some of them I didn't manage to do and I didn't have time. Like really the day before taking my plane, I was like this on my computer just editing so that some episodes would come anyway. So that's why you had two in November. But I didn't manage to do more. And I wanted to keep you updated on Instagram and everything, but yeah, I don't know. I was in Nepal and it was really out of my head, and I thought I would better just enjoy what I was living and then I would come back and it would be fine. So I hope it's fine. But during that time, I really took a time to think about what I was doing here, about what I really wanted to share, and also just enjoying the places where I was, because I really fell in love with Nepal and with trekking. I went there not really knowing if I liked hiking and trekking, because it was the first time I did a trek. The longest hike I did before was like 2 days maximum. Yeah, I never really hiked before. So I just thought, let's go and then let's see if I like it. And if I don't, then it's fine. I would do something else. And if I do, then it's the best place to enjoy it. In the end, I spent 2 weeks walking in the Himalayas, and it was the best thing ever. I was so disconnected from the rest of the world, and I loved it. So that's why I also didn't give any news. I was just in the mountains without any internet or any electricity, and I was enjoying myself. Then I spent a month in Mexico with some friends, also just enjoying and chilling on the beach, and yeah, still thinking about what I could talk about when I came back on the podcast, and thinking about some subjects and seeing stuff that maybe changed my perspective on some things. Now, I'm talking to you from my new home in the Netherlands, where I'm starting a new chapter of my life. I wanted to do this master's for really a long time, but I didn't really do it because it's very scary to go back to studying when you are already working, because it's a change in like your whole life, your financial situation, the time you have, the responsibilities, like the whole thing, your whole life is changing. And I was a bit scared to do it, but I'm so grateful. I've had only 1 week of classes now, but it's exactly how I imagined it, and I hope it will keep going like this and that I will enjoy it. And then when finally I go back to work, I will like it. As I've said in the introduction, I feel like this year changed me. So it's part because of the experiences I had. So this job I didn't like, how I dealt with it. Then trekking through Nepal just gives you another perspective on life. Then spending some time in Mexico and like seeing how life is and how you can make it good even though you don't like most of your time in your job. I don't know if that makes sense, but I didn't like my job and I spent 5 days a week doing it. But still, I managed to get my head out of it and just do some nice stuff on the weekend, going on super nice holidays, seeing friends and doing stuff in the evening. And then I realized that, sure, I want a job I like, but if I don't, I will still survive and it will be okay. Obviously, that's not what I want. But realizing that you can just thrive and, no, maybe not thrive, but survive and still learn and have new experiences. Also, because of that job that I didn't like, I started doing the podcast so I could think about something else and have a project I liked. So actually, it brought a lot of good stuff. I also know what I want and what I don't want. So this job made me reconnect with what was important in my life, everything else than the job, because I would choose to do nice stuff outside. And I reconnected with photography, which I always loved, but there, because I was forcing myself to do a lot of activities, then I could take pictures of things a lot. And because I traveled, I was feeling really inspired. And when I was in Nepal, wow, it was like the best landscapes I've ever seen. And the people have super open faces and are so welcoming that I could also take pictures of them, trying to share this emotion I was feeling there. I loved it. I also try to let go of external expectations, I would say. In Nepal, I was alone, and everyone was just putting their fears on me and be like, oh wow, you are alone, are you not scared? And then raising issues I've never even thought about. And then a few weeks before leaving, I was starting to feel a bit insecure and thinking about all of those problems people were talking about, which never ever crossed my mind. Now I realized I should not have let them do that to me, and now I will never let it happen again. Of course, I'm open to different opinions. Maybe they would have raised an issue I never thought about and then it would have been relevant. But no, because those people that said those things to me, they would not do what I do. So I would not accept their opinion because it doesn't matter to me. Yes, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't go alone in Nepal trekking in the mountains. I know, then don't do it. But don't put your fears on me. I decided to go alone in the mountains. Yes, and I will do it. And it will be fine. And yes, if something happens, then I will deal with it and it will be okay. And it was okay. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. So I'm so happy that I did it and that I didn't listen to them. Anyway, you will have a more detailed explanation of everything I did in Nepal in the following weeks. I don't know if it will be the next episode or the one after or the one after. I don't know. You will see. But I really cannot wait to tell you all about this trip and maybe encourage you to do something like this. Or just go hiking. It's really cool. But now I live in the Netherlands, so I cannot really hike because it's flat. And before that, I was living in Belgium. Really, I don't know why I'm just choosing super flat countries, even though I just love hiking. So anyway, that was, maybe it was a bit messy. I'm just happy to record again, so I don't have really a structure for this episode. And just, I wanted to thank you for listening. And I wanted to say I'm proud of doing this and to keep going, because I stopped and I was so scared that I would never start over again the podcast. But now here I am doing it. So I'm happy, and I hope you will still listen to what I have to say. And I really hope I will have nice guests this year. So thank you very much, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye!